Alrighty, folks, today we're going to talk about two parts to the tuning process that is kind of neglected in one and one that's kind of misunderstood. And that's in the step-up springs and how we tune with squirters. So we're going to talk about both because they kind of go together. So I wanted to talk about both of these separately outside of the ultimate tuning guide that we talked about earlier and some of the other little tuning pieces we've talked about in the other videos I've done. So before we go do that, we're going to talk about the basics of where we need to be before we get to this tuning side. Okay, before we get started on anything else, as always, we have to make sure the other systems that support the carburetor are done properly and are serviced properly. If you remember back in the Ultimate Tuning Guide, everything here has to be perfect before we even start talking about touching the carburetor. Fuel filters have to be done, serviced and have the correct size, 100 micron and 10 micron. The fuel pressure regulator needs to be set properly. The ignition system has to be serviced and operating correctly. The plug wires have to be in good shape. The plugs have to be in good, proper working order. Vacuum advance, mechanical advance in the distributor, if you have that. If you don't and you're locked out and you're running through a spark box, it has to be set correctly. Fuel pressure has to be perfect. Every little detail of what we're working on has to be done first before we touch a carburetor, or nothing we do here matters. I'm going to keep harping on that because 90% of the problems that people come up with the questions in these videos, it all leads back to something before we touch the carburetor. The carburetor is the last thing we work on. Everything else, fuel system, ignition, has to be done correctly. Make sure you got that set before you even think about going any further in this video. Okay, so let's talk about when you make a spring change in the step-up springs. These springs are located right underneath here. They're what connect the metering rod to the piston. If you remember from the rebuild videos and all that, that piston is controlled by the engine manifold vacuum. Okay, so let's take a quick look at that real quick before we look at the chart and the rods. These two rod and piston assemblies are controlled by the engine vacuum that is fed from these two ports. Okay, these go directly down into the engine. It is what feeds the manifold signal. So let's get a flashlight here. Let's see if we can. Already got that one loose here. I'm going to shine some light through that. So what we're going to do is we're going to shine some light up through here, and hopefully we can see down in there. Not sure if you can see that or not, but it is a fairly straight shot down into there. That signal, that vacuum signal that the rod and jet is reading, comes from the manifold. So when you are under no load, no pressure, the vacuum in the manifold is high. Okay? It is a higher pressure, higher vacuum reading, higher vacuum that exists within the intake manifold. When that pressure drops, when it's under load, when you're under heavy acceleration, when you're under hard throttle, wide open throttle, whatever, the manifold vacuum drops. So let's say your engine vacuum is at 10 inches of mercury and you hammer the throttle down, it goes down to 0. When it drops, when that pressure drops, that is when the spring and the piston inside the carburetor react. So when you are at 10 inches of vacuum, this piston is down. Let me draw that out. I think that might be a little bit easier. Okay, so we're going to have the piston and the rod assembly here. When this spring is compressed very tightly, okay, the rod is down further within the jet. Okay, jet's down here. It's hard to tell, but when you look at these rods, you know, with the naked eye in front of you, they've got some steps in it. They're called steps, but they're actually, the diameter is different down here than it is up here. And when the vacuum pulls the spring out or releases the pressure on the spring and it's allowed to slide back up, you get more fuel because you have a smaller diameter rod within the jet. So when the spring is tight, you've got more of the rod submersed into the jet. When the spring is released, okay, when the spring is released and you have less of the rod inside the jet, you get more fuel that flows into it, okay? Here, when it's compressed, you got less fuel that goes in there, okay? When it's here and it's pulled out, you have more fuel that's able to flow in there. That's what the spring does. That's when the engine vacuum drops. The spring reacts to that and pulls the piston and rod out of the jet and allows it to get more fuel in there. So where is this used? Where does this come into play? This is off idle, very, very low load, very low RPM typically. You're not going to be running, 4,000 or 5,000 RPM. This is very, very low RPM, kind of cruising around type of deal. So if you've got that off idle stumble, that off idle hesitation, this is one of the places where you can fix that. It's very, very hard to make these adjustments because it's very, very difficult for you to sit in the passenger seat, make a spring adjustment based on your engine vacuum at idle, and get a lot of seat of the pants type feeling. This is very much a good place to use an AFR gauge to do your tuning. It's your best tool here because the changes are so minute, sometimes it's hard to feel. Now, big picture, when you're talking about a carburetor and the other adjustments that you're making to it, this is just another little one to help you get to where you need to be. All right, so let's talk about what spring to choose here. So in the kit, you'll notice that there are multiple different springs that are included with it. And it will give you a vacuum rating that each are rated at. Blue is at 3, silver all the way up to 8. So let's talk about that a little bit. How do you know which spring is for you? So what you will need to do is you will need to take a measurement of the vacuum at idle while the transmission is in neutral. You don't want it in park. You don't want that elevated RPM that park gives. Neutral is where you want to be. Manual, clutch in, not in gear, obviously. That measurement of vacuum in neutral at idle, let's say it's 12 inches of vacuum that you're pulling. So the value on these springs is half of what that actual vacuum reading is. So if you're at 12, I would choose the 5. If you're at 14 inches of vacuum, then choose the 7. It's half the value, but that spring needs to be lesser than what the actual vacuum rating is in the engine. And we'll talk about that here in a quick second of why that is. But you're trying to keep the rods down. You're trying to keep it out of the rich stage, out of the rich diameter of the rod, because you need that a little bit extra shot of fuel when you're coming off of that idle and get into more of a power range. So that's what the spring does. It holds the rod down into the jet a little bit better until you get to that area where you need it. So like we mentioned, we are tuning here for the best throttle response, and that's what we're trying to do, is to give the rod and the jet the adjustability to get out of the different stages in the rod as it pulls up, so to give you that little extra shot of fuel that you need to make the transition from a lot less load to more load. But let's talk about that for a minute and what factors affect the vacuum and the type of spring to choose, because this isn't always perfect. If you're running 14 inches of vacuum and you choose the 7-pound spring, it might not be enough. Engine vacuum is obviously a big part of it, but the cam profile, the longer the duration cam, depending on the opening and closing events of the camshaft, it's going to change the type of load that's on the engine and the type of vacuum it creates. intake manifold, compression ratio, the altitude that you're at. If you're down here, 1,000 foot over sea level where I'm at now, it's probably not going to be too much different than sea level. But when you get up into New Mexico, Denver area where you're a mile above sea level, it's certainly going to change the vacuum or the spring that you need depending on how much fuel that the engine is demanding. So here's another little tip with these. If you don't have a vacuum gauge, they're fairly inexpensive, but if you don't have a vacuum gauge, start with the heaviest spring. In this case, it's the silver spring. It's at 8 inches. Start with the heaviest one. If it cures the problem, the stumble, the off idle little stumble, then drop down to the pink spring, which is the 7, and keep dropping down until you get back into the problem again. Then go back up one, you should be good to go. So again, it's just more of a tuning process, but selecting the right spring is pretty critical because you're trying to get to a place where you can start to work with it, measure it, and start the tuning process. So a good vacuum gauge, they're not that expensive. I think you can buy them Amazon, whatever. I'll try to leave a link down to the one below. I'll have to see if I can find one online, the one that I use online, but I'll leave a link down below that as well. But that's how you select the spring to get the one you need for your engine setup. Okay, so let's talk about the squirters. So when the accelerator pumps fuel via the rod and the linkage that connects to your throttle linkage, when that pushes down and pushes the fuel through the system, it goes through a squirter that squirts fuel down into the 2 primary venturi of the carburetor to give you that extra shot of fuel that you need on hard acceleration. A little bit comes out, as it's needed, part throttle, whatever. But that squirter is what delivers that fuel from the pump after it gets to the venturi or as it's trying to enter the venturi. This is one of the most neglected areas of tuning on these carburetors. For the Holley guys, this is one of the things that they just naturally do. You change jets, you change power valve if it's got power valves in it, and they always change a squirter. Why? Because a little bit more fuel is sometimes needed. So what these are is these have multiple different sizes that are available. So the 1412, I believe, has a 35,000 sized orifice on the squirter. These kits that Edelbrock sells have different sizes of squirter in it that are not available in a factory carburetor. I think the 35 thou is their largest squirter in their 800 CFM carburetors. I'd have to look back and see if I've taken any notes on it or dig back into an Edelbrock book and see. But this one, like I said, comes with the 35 thou squirter. The largest size squirter that's in this kit is a 43 thou. So that difference between 35 and 43, you're looking at about a 23% increase in shot of fuel. Big difference when you're trying to clean out a flat spot, give it the correct amount of fuel under hard acceleration, that initial shot before the main metering circuits take over. So again, this is a very, very overlooked piece to the puzzle, and it's one that I very rarely hear people talk about tuning, and it's certainly one that you have to look at. Just like the other guys look at that when they're tuning those carburetors, you have to look at it when you're tuning a Edelbrock as well. So, it's a very, very overlooked one. The step-up springs, like we talked about, are kind of an oddball one. People kind of forget about those, don't understand them, so they just kind of avoid it, and they just concentrate on the rods and jets in this thing. And you can do that for a very, very mild performance application, but the more aggressive you get with things, you've got to make these other little adjustments to get there. So certainly the 30 some bucks or whatever that this kit costs, I'll leave a link to it down in the description as well. But well worth it. It's a good tuning tool to have. And then, if you ever tune any of these like I do, you'll have a lot of these. And on the very top of it, it has stamped on what size it is.
So this one's a 35 thou, and then all of the ones are in here in the kit, which is a 24, 33, and 43 thou squirter. They're all marked on top of there, so you can't screw up which one it is. So certainly a big piece of the tuning puzzle, and certainly one that you're going to have to look at, again, depending on the situation you're in. But don't forget about this. Like I said, it is the most forgotten about piece in the tuning puzzle. So for sure, pay attention to it, and it'll help you get it tuned correctly. So just to kind of recap here, tuning is a process. It isn't done by, just twisting the idle mixture screws and calling it good and hoping that it's right. It's a process in getting the carburetor to perform based on the engine that you have. And every engine's unique, regardless of the combination of parts. The parts could be exactly the same, but if that small block Chevy that you're tuning has 30,000 more miles on it than the other guy's small block, it's probably got a little bit of loss of compression. It may have a little bit of loss in the way the valves seal. Everything is a little bit different, so you have to take each carburetor, just like you do on any other brand of carburetor, and tune it for the application you're working on. These two pieces here, the step-up springs in the tuning kit and the tuning kit itself, and the squirter kit, are certainly two very key components of the piece of the puzzle to kind of make this thing work right. So I wanted to explain these separately because they kind of tend to go together. That little off-idle snap of acceleration, snap of power that you need, the step-up springs provide that, and then as you're rolling into it, you are going to hit into a little bit of the squirters as well. So they are certainly two transitional type of pieces from off-idle to more of a open throttle, wide open throttle, whatever, depending on the situation. But they're pieces of the puzzle that you have to kind of work with. So I wanted to talk about these separately. They deserve their own video, and they certainly deserved the attention to give you an understanding of how they affect and the different pieces of the puzzle. So anyway, I hope you got something out of the video today. If you have any questions about this tuning piece or any of the other ones that I've dealt with, please don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. I really appreciate you guys watching. Certainly subscribe if you haven't already, and very soon we're going to be getting these a couple of these on a couple of engines that we're building right now, and we'll do some live tuning where we'll take it step by step and go through the entire process, where you can see exactly how I tune for an engine and the carburetor that we've chosen for it. So I appreciate y'all watching. We'll catch you on the next video. Thanks, guys.